Okay. မင်္ဂလာပါလို့ကျွန်တော်တို့ဥစွာပထမနှုတ်ခွန်းဆက်တာပါတယ်
Good evening to everyone. We'd like to welcome you back again from the Way of Thought talk show organized by the People's Code team. And today our topic is that what should we focus upon on the mobilization, military and diplomatic approaches as the revolution gains momentum. We are now in the second year of the revolution, and that strategic communication or that mobilization strategy communication is important to mobilize people. We are to discuss like how important that is. Also, that the firepower of the SAC, the military hunter, they have a superior that firepower. That how can we how with our will to fight and our commitment to the revolution and our capacity and ability, how do we overcome that as well? During the diplomatic that approaches and the diplomatic arena, how is the movement going as well? That the question also is that we want to discuss about the what is going on with the as the revolution gained momentum, what's happening militarily and diplomatic channel as well as other that other channel as well. So we have invited that former retired Lieutenant Colonel Miemie Byrd will discuss as well, and that we also have Captain Kaung, who is also a senior addict, so will be joining as well. And today, that CDM soldier Noung, and as my name is Noung, I'm from the CDM soldier from the People's Code team, and I will be your moderator as well. Before we start with the discussion, we also like to introduce briefly about the People's Go team as well. People Go, it comes from the group called from a team called People's Soldier, and from People's Soldier in 2022 January we changed the name from People's Soldier to People's Go to broaden the impact, to be able to carry out more objectives with the support of the volunteers led by the civilian. We have transitioned toward this as well, that the objective of the People's Code team is threefold. Is that to promote defection, because defection where we will be able to reduce the casualties or the injuries and casualties in the revolution, so that troops of the rank and file of the SAC will join the people's side and to work together with the CDM soldier as well. Second objective is that based on their findings, that they will be able to provide the CDM support to the CDM soldiers and officers as well. And then it's also to non-violent resistant movement based on the ideological revolution. These are the three objectives of the People's Schools team. So let us go back to the talk show for today's program. And I would like to welcome all our speakers, as well as those who are joining us on the live stream as well. And then also, if you have any comments or questions, please feel free to use the Zoom link and the Facebook television stream to ask questions, and also please share it so that more people will have knowledge and aware about this well. So I'd like to first extend my greetings to Kaung. Good evening. How are you doing? Yes, I'm doing well, thank you. So in that case, let's start the discussion. I would like to give you the first question as well. So that very recently that Myanmar went to Russia, and that he met with the Russian leaders, and that we have seen that after the coup, that shows that all his visits to Russia, that also show that military junta is relying a lot on Russia, and also that they are also trying to build more and more connection with them as well. That if you look at it, that although the military junta seems to be sanctioned, and that communication is cut by the many other countries, they are reaching out to Russia as one country they can rely on. So what are the impacts to it? What kind of situation can that happen? Can you also discuss about about this visit based on these points? Yes, when we look at I would like to first to talk about the Russia-Myanmar relation. Immediately after the coup, he went to Russia, and recently he also went to Russia. So this is the third visit. Firstly, they went to Kazakhstan, and that was a discussion to buy weapons, and he wanted to the weapons factory, ammunition factories and the military command factory as well. Secondly, and they also went to Russia as well, and he also went to Russia, and he met with he met with those officials who were working in the foreign ministry, and that as well as on the defense as well. But for the past two visits, he didn't get a chance to meet Putin. It was only in on the third visit with the Eastern Economic Forum 2022 that he got a chance to meet Putin, the Russian President Putin. But the way that it shows as if they try to they want the international recognition, and that's why they want to meet Putin. So they want to make it into a state visit. They always angling for an official visit as well. This time he get a chance to meet Putin, and the SAC, the pro-military, they also raise a lot of news when they were what they will do, that they always make sure that he is already welcomed by those who support them as well. That Russia, the military hunters relation is for the weapons, for the MCs as well, especially for the that is used in the area bombardment. So this is where they are cutting them as well. In them that what they are using, the Mi-73 or Mi-35, all these weapons used by the Air Force. These are the ammunitions and the weapons of the Air Force imported mainly from Russia. They use a lot of Russia-made weapons ammunition. And before, in the past, that ammunition is not when it comes to ammunition for the weapons, we don't have much of fighting, so they don't have to use a lot. Only when there are battle, whenever these when they are launching the airstrike against the ethnic area, that they have to use a lot of the weapon as well. Now they are fighting across Myanmar, and the battles are waging every day. So that means that they need a lot of weapons, ammunition, so they have to go to Russia mainly to purchase weapons, ammunition. That's something they are always discussing, and that's always something working on as well. And this is also something we have seen as well. In addition, that Myanmar military also have a lot of military scholars in Russia. They are in hundreds. Officers were sent to Russia to attend a training as well. And these officers will often get meetings from the as well. In addition, to make sure that those who are studying outside, they will not change their idea. They will not change their ideology. Because they are sending only officers to study, and they don't want them to change their opinions and ideas and beliefs. So they will meet them, and they will always give speeches. They will give some bonus, and then to as part of the mobilization work as well. So these are the some of the reasons that they go to Russia. Russia right now is in a bit of a crisis as well. And that this way they for them also is that to provide weapons to Myanmar, they also have challenges. But Myanmar is a big income for them as well. So that's why the many from the Myanmar, where they go there, they will be able to we are buying a lot of weapons from them, especially for the so there's a good income for it. They want to continue selling weapons to Myanmar, and that's why that's part of the reason for the visit as well. That in addition, if you look at the neighboring countries, out of the neighboring countries, China is a country that Myanmar military always rely on as a country as well. There's some of the costs that the military use, as well as on the the air-to-ground missiles, or like all these other the air defense protection systems that Myanmar military using, and they are training on the military related security issues. The military always send training their participants to China as well, so they always need assistance from China and Russia. So these are the organizations. China and Russia will be the two key countries that they engage with as well, and also in the UN or that UN platform as well. These are the two countries they are protecting their military as well from the international the pressure as well. So they rely totally on China and Russia. In the long run, I think it will also depend on the situation that in the long run, whether is it China or Russia, they will only look at their own interest. If they don't see any interest, they don't see anything, if they cannot gain anything from the military, then of course they will cut ties. But right now they are getting hard currency, they are getting the US dollar, they are getting a lot of income, so they would also help the military, so the military remain in power, so that they can continue to make money of the situation as well. Here, I just would like to follow you up with the question that India and Thailand are also the neighboring countries that they seem to be engaging more with the military as pushed by China as well in this Spring Revolution as well, that they seem to be engaging more with as well, and the international community and others are also pushing in Thailand and India to engage with the NUG as well, so that from the Thai side also, like Thai Prime Minister Prayu and that Myanmar seems to be they have good they have good engagement, and Prayu himself is also coming from the background, so that and that so they seem to Myanmar to seem to have a good relation with Prayu as well, and that but there are also there seems to be a bit more of a tension with the Thailand. There are also more pressure from the other community as well, and that so that these are some of the changes in the neighbor India also has to be seen as well. Based on the actions of the SAC, how do you think the situation can go based on the activity of the military on the ground? That could be what would the what do you think, do you foresee any changes in the way this country relate to a military hunter? Well, if you look at the regional platform that when ASEAN has pushed for the sanction, and Malaysia has spoken very clearly, very directly that ASEAN so engage with that as well, so that SAC also have issue a lot of statements on this as well. India or Thailand, they're our neighboring countries. What is possible? There's neighboring countries. Well, they will have to they have to that there are also other as well in addition to the war as well. They also have a lot of interest as well that they have to engage with the military because of the trade and other. There are also often they also have companies or the factories that in fact they have invested in Myanmar, so that they mean that they will look at the situation and they will respond to the situation as well. So they will say that from outside they will not openly support or openly say that they will not say things openly. They will just sort of like maintain their relationship as well, that for their factories or their trade, for that they will make sure that they can continue as well, that they will just keep on working for that as well. For China, it's very clear that China's investment in Myanmar they have many investment as well, so that that and that based on the political situation of Myanmar, they are doing what they can as well. For example, like that means that if that means that there is they that for example they try to that they do a lot of plays to so that they can act, and that for example like their competition that India not be able to whatever happened. I think whatever country it is, when we talk about, they focus on their interest as well, and that's why they are also engaging with this. They engage with the SAC for that reason as well, and that if they believe that if they think that SAC the government mechanism has collapsed and the SAC cannot no longer manage the situation, then they would engage with the next government in power. For this country, the main focus is their interest, their economic interest as well. So what they are doing is that how can they, based on their decision and their engagement engagement will depend on how the situation, whether they engage more with them or not, based on the ability of the SAC will be able to control the situation or not. So this is the thing of the neighboring countries based more merely based on their own interests at most. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. So this is the first discussion point of the Kaung to win for the Siama Wimbet, because due to the time difference, so she has that because of the time difference of where she is, we have it has difficulty to join the session. So we have taken a pre-record of her discussion point. So we will be airing that pre-recorded message interview that we had with Siama. Good evening, Siama. So we'd like to welcome you from the People's School the weekly talk show. The topic we'll be discussing is that what should we focus on the mobilization, military and diplomatic approaches as a revolution gains momentum. So my first question to you, Siama, is that in the current during the current situation, can we say that we are in the revolution, during the phase of revolution, that NUG is still fighting the diplomatic battle, and that NUG is still seeking recognition and legitimacy from the international community as well. Similarly, that so that for the NUG, and there's some of the Western media, ASEAN countries are also talking about and recommending recognition of NUG. So how important is the position of the international community for this revolution as well? And the NUG is, how is NUG faring when it comes to international relations and diplomatic affairs, including the regional affair? And then what is the issue? What about the Russia as well? That Russia also that the Russia and SAC can they win in the UN setting as well? First of all, I would like to just make a disclaimer that what I'm sharing is on my personal opinion. Your question is about the diplomatic approaches, and I have discussed it before, and I have also shared in other activities as well, and that as an expert, that in that if you look back the history, the history and the success of the revolution, that when we analyze that, we'll see that these successful revolutions have three main points. The first is that but the first that we have seen is that the frustration and the anger of the people. The people are angry, the people are driven to participate as well. Second is the international support of the international community. And the third one is that about the defection, military defection of the elite. Or the cronies are also important. And when we have all these three, that is important. That also give us a chance for the revolution to be successful. When we look at these three factors, that in Myanmar, that when we look at the diplomatic arena, there are a lot of support from the international community. So it is international support is international community especially important, that have diplomatic pressure. Because when there are diplomatic pressures, there are sanctions. With the sanctions means that the logistics of the military become lower. So that's why also these sanctions are important. With more sanction, that the military has to struggle. That for example, like they lost on the, for example, like a foreign exchange dollar, that also make it very difficult for them. So that the diplomatic pressure of the international community is important. If we look at the revolution, this is important. It is effective, and it also from the resistance side, that also is the strength of the resistance as well in the UN as well. In the UN, the representation in the UN as well, that the military has difficulty to get representation in the UN as well because of their human rights violations that are known across the world. Everybody in the world know about this, starting from the Rohingya crisis until now, that people know that how they have been violating their human rights, and that the kind of regime, the kind of a dictator will not get recognition from that will not be able to get permanent representative in UN. That is something very clear. Thank you, Siama, for the answer and the explanation. That so also that may I also, you also discuss about what are the factors needed for the revolution. May I ask you the second question for you? So right now that as we are seeing in the news coverage that SSC troops are taking a lot of losses on the ground as well. They seems to be exhausted militarily, and they are not also they not seem ready as well. There is the moral of the SSC troops are also very low, or that but however, in terms of structure, organization, and that chain in command is strong to a certain extent as well. So if you look at the current military power, the firepower, and do think with the existing firepower and the support from their allies like Russia, do you think that do you still think that they still have a chance to stay? Do you think that they still have a chance to win this revolution? So when you fight a war, that and then when you talk about the military warfare, in that those who win the war often the side of the one have a strategy. It's more about their strategy. It's less about the firepower. It's more about the strategy. If you look at who won the war, the soft power is more important than the firepower or the military power. The soft power, the smart power is more important. Then need to look at it. If you look at it from that perspective, then you'll see that fighting war is that it's about, there is also important about this will to fight. Like if you look at the Russia and Ukraine, it's the fight. It is less about the firepower. It's more about this will to fight as well. If you look at the context of Ukraine right now, that if you look at the war currently going on between Ukraine and Russia, Ukraine was able to push back Russia as well, because the will to fight from the Ukraine side is enormous. As Russia side has a firepower, but they don't have will to fight. They don't have the willpower. They're not interested in it, and so that's why they are taking loss as well. Russia military is quite very modern as well. That compared to Ukraine military, Russia military has bigger, much bigger firepower and military power, and that's the lesson we can take from the as well. If you look at the other historical wars in the past as well, firepower is a decisive factor. It's not about the firepower does not decide the outcome of the war. It is the soft power which counts. So if you let's look at Myanmar. Everybody since the very beginning, when the coup happened, a lot of people say that, well, the resistance will never win. That is, if you look at the 1988 or the NATO pass, or everybody say, all the analysts will say that, a lot of people say that, claim that the resistance cannot win. But now we're able to hold our own in balance as well, and that Myanmar military, if you now analyze right now the situation, of course, resistance movement doesn't have the firepower. No, we don't. That it's like it's different as that between Russia and Ukraine as well. The fact that you are able to hold your own is incredible. It's because of the willpower, not because of the fall of the firepower as well. The military have to struggle. Military have to struggle in their they are using the air power, and I always say that air power is extremely expensive, very expensive as well. Like if you want to one flight of the jet fighters is that it costs $200,000 to $350,000, depending on the distance as well as the weapon they use. So that's how much that costs: $200,000 to $350,000 for a single flight for a single round of aerial strike as well, and that's enormous. That's a lot of cost. Russia is also Russia has its own problem because it's losing the war in Ukraine as well, so that Russia will be able to give some support to Myanmar. Yes, they support her. They can say that they support Myanmar, but they can't. If one day the SAC troops started to, that if they because of if they cannot pay for the weapons and ammunition, Russia will drop them. Russia will not give them for free. They are selling these weapons. They don't give them. This is financial. Financially, the military SAC is losing a lot because of the sanctions, and that's why that that therefore the military to move forward to be able to be able to withstand this revolution. This quite they are not doing so good if they want to maintain this kind of level of fighting against revolutionary forces. Thank you, Siama. That you talk about the will to fight and willpower is important. Is that in Myanmar we'll say that that in the world to win the war, with willingness, commitment to the fight is very different, because the revolutionary forces have the strongest when it comes to will to fight, and that because of this is something we are also seeing also on the ground SF very recently. So NUG also had respond to that, said that as NUG has claimed that the revolution, they were going to step up the revolution. So in such a context, if a NUG were to run a counter offensive, then that I think that we also need to think also about the retaliation from this as well. So for that, if the NUG were to step up the defensive war, and then what will they need to be prepared for it as well? Yes, next level or the next page. That in the, if you look at it from the military terms, we are going for the next space. We have to go to the next space or the phase 2 as well. That when we move to phase 2, there are three most important factors that the first is about alliance are important, that we need to have a closer alliance, and that we need to have a closer alliance for to like NUG, PDF, and the EROs, and all these on the resistance side, from all the fighting forces from resistance sides. They will need to have a closer alliance is important. That will be good. That also that is needed. Another thing is that strategic communication. Strategic communication is extremely important. What what this group is doing, and that and also so the people is strategic communication, and also about outreach to the people, informing the people, and also to informing to the different audience what we are working on, and that strategic communication is also extremely important. Another is that to use that about the human resources. It is also important to use the human resources most effectively, and that also very important. For example, like women women are 50% of the population as well. That and as well as that so there are also Myanmar diaspora living across the world. There are also non-CDMs. I think it is also important to mobilize this non-CDM. How do we work to so that non-CDM will stand together? And people will say that
revolution ပေါ့နော် revolution တော်လှန်ရေးကအရေးကြီးဆုံး hearts and minds
this kind of in this kind of revolution is the most important is the hearts and minds of the people, the population, and the more that you can convince people to join your side, that you will win the war as well. So how do we win the hearts and mind of the population? That to win the hearts of the time, that it is important to when the people that that if you cannot get the hearts and mind of the people, you cannot get the support of the people from by fear as well. If you want people to join our side, then we need to win the hearts and minds of the people. So that's why I say that non-CDMs, that it is important so how do we bring the non-CDM back to ours? It will be through the strategic communication. In addition, that from the and that for the international, for the Myanmar diaspora to support more the movement, that also is about the strategic communication. Strategic communication is important in this phase 2 of the revolution. That how do we engage with others through the strategic communication? How do we ensure that we'll be able to optimize to use to the maximum, to use the best way for the revolution? That will be the most important point of phase 2. Thank you for your discussions, Yama. That so in the phase 2 of the revolution, that you need to have strategic communication is extremely important, and that it is also important to give our messages to the international community. It is important also to engage with the international community. In addition to that, it is important to have the more inclusive public support. It's also important to open channels. It's also important to mobilize that people, so that people will feel that people will not be pushed under the fear, but also be able to contribute to the revolution. Thank you as well. That with the revolution, when the revolution gains momentum, it is although we are also facing that the amount that armed revolutionary forces, we are also seeing that side effects which are not the negative side effects. Well, so how should the NUG control this? What do you think? Well, right now, collaboration is important. It is important that whenever it is, if there are among the forces, if there are tensions, we need to focus on who is our common enemy. You need to look at it, your common enemy. It is to do that. I think it is important to give clear message as well that we do need to do a strategic communication. Strategic communication is to have an overview, overall communication plan to the different audience. What kind of message do you give to which people? That you need to keep an eye on it. The in the phase 2, you have to keep an eye on the messaging and the messages you give to different audience as well. And the PDF are also an important part of the audience as well. That in this audience, and what they need to understand is that even among that we are brothers and sisters, and that sometimes that in a family the family members may fight, but we also need to understand clearly who is your enemy. Another important part is the code of conduct. I have said it since the beginning of the revolution. In this revolution, that the military, we are fighting against the military. And if you look at the history, that we are fighting against an institution that has lost on the code of conduct. They have become like a gang of criminals. They are a gang of criminals because they have given up their code of conduct. They have lost their professionalism. If you look at it and the armed groups, then that there is a big difference between that. What's the difference between a professional military and a criminal gang? Is the code of conduct. And when we are fighting against such an institution that is turned itself into a criminal conduct, then you need to have a code of conduct. So you need to have rules and regulations to make it as well, because we have to know that if you don't follow that code of conduct, then you will be following as well. Because if we do that, they will be say that, well, they are the same. They don't do that as well. That it is like whereby if you don't follow the code of conduct, you are giving the ammunition to them to run a psychological operation against our troops and against the revolutionary fighters as well. So it is important that those who are hiding in the front line understand that we need to show that we are different. It is important to follow the code of conduct. You need to communicate as well if there are challenges, and then it is important to know them as well. That because the code of conduct is important, because we have to show that our side is different, that we are professionals. We are not like the military, which does not follow to the conduct. They are criminals. That we are different from them, and that we don't act like criminals. We don't act like we have a rules and regulation, and we follow the code of conduct. That is extremely important. So for that, you have to communicate with the PDF, you look at the defense forces as well. That's why communication becomes important, because you need to communicate that to the fighters, and the strategic communication or the communication become essential in such contexts. Okay. Sorry about that. We had a bit of a connection issue. So I'm sure that all of you have been able to follow the discussion and response to the points that Miemie had made. It also gives us a lot we have to think, a lot to learn from that as well. Siama had talked about this, about the firepower and the soft power, and that it doesn't matter what the firepower is, that it is also important for the revolutionary forces to use that power as well, and that is also important. That it is also and that to be able to get is also important, and that So they also talk about it as well, and that in addition, what she might also talk about this importance of communication with the alliance as well, and that it is important to strengthen the alliance as well. That it is also important to do strategic communication, and that it is important to do strategic communication, to do public outreach, to ensure to mobilize the people from across the all walks of life, as well as from different parts of the world as well, and that it is not just about that when you cannot mobilize people through fear. It is important to make people informed about what they are doing as well, and that it is also important to push also for the code of conduct as well, and that it is also important to protect that as well, that if we don't follow the code of conduct, with that's why there is a public revolution resistance going on, because people no longer can send that this lack of rules and regulations, so that code of conduct of the military, that it is important that we cannot follow the way that the military has to do that. If they no longer follow if our forces also do not follow the code of conduct, then we won't be we won't be different from that the ruthless criminals of the military as well. And that's a lot of important learning for us. So thank you, Siama. Now we like to turn back to Kaung that we have listened to the first part of the Siama Miemie's discussions. I would also like to follow up with a few questions, if you're ready. That in that I think that so that we have also heard about it as about the meeting, but the SAC, there has been a criticism that SAC is taking a lot of losses as well, and that is it because that Myanmar himself has said that in their military council meeting they discussed that they are taking a lot of casualties and injuries, and that is because those who are commanders do not have the capacity, they are lying, and also that these light infantry forces are also exhausted by the military. They are also seeing a lot more soldiers falling as well. There is also the issue of the losing their morale and disobedience, as well as on the frustration as well. So what is happening inside the SAC troops, and that also what do you think could happen to the troops internally? Thank you for your question. That if we look at the quarter as well, and that there has also been if we look at, there was a leakage of this the discussion as well, and that it is happening, the fighting is happening everywhere as well, and that and then also they will also see that there are also the LIT as well as other different forces as well. So many forces they are all fighting as well. That know that they are waging battles, they are waging everywhere, and then the soldiers are falling every day as well. Like sometimes that if that one person a person fall 10 soldiers for a day, it seems not that much, but after 4 months as well. So different regional commands like a Northeast Command or the Northern Command or the Eastern Command, and they will start to have to report that how many soldiers have fallen in the first quarter, in the quarter 4 months of the day, and then how many were killed and how many were injured. And there was the list of it. If they are losing soldiers every day, it does seem 1 or 2 is not a matter, 10 doesn't matter. But when you compile the list for the all 4 months, and then the numbers are quite much higher. So when the numbers of all soldiers that have fallen are higher, so that means that they always ask, like, why did you lose this fight, or why did you lose this the battle? There's always this question they ask. Whenever they ask the question, that they will also say that always this regiment and battalion will be blamed for that losing the war. Is the military strategy is not good. They say the military way they don't act, they don't they don't fight the war according to their military strategy, or that if they will always say that, like, maybe the information is not secure, or that they will also be different as well. So that the way they should not, you should use a more military tactics and strategy, and that if you are doing the directing as well, and that that they could also be getting they could be fought because of they were drone, or they could be bombed by the drone, they could be snipers, or pick them out one by one, or they would say a lot of reasons that they would know, of course, that they were also blame that. And so they would be that also military leaders will blame them. They will shift the blame to their commanders, and the commanders they will say that the general will say, well, these commanders are not good, they do not follow the military strategy, that's why they are taking a lot of losses, that's why they are not faring well in that as well. So this is that's what the top leadership see, that for that ground level commander, that since the coup, for the past 1 year and a half, even before, they also have in 2018-19 they were fighting in a different parts of Myanmar. So we have in the current state, we are fighting, we also are fighting in the eastern part of the Shan state in Laokai area, and that even that they have to keep fighting as well, though these battalions have to keep fighting. So any battalion that they don't really get a chance to go, but as before, even after they they usually they deploy 4 men and they get 1 man off it right now, that and then this battalion will get a chance to take a rest as well. If the battalion 11 they will take a rest, and then they have 1 month, they'll be able to do more training, will be able to do to replenish their power, and also get more recruitment and going on, because they finish in one scene and they have to go to another. They got Rakhine, they have to go to Rakhine, and then they had call back one Rakhine to go, they be deploy another. So they continue, they are continually deploying as well. It's the same soldiers, the same regiments who are fighting as well, and that they don't have the area expertise as well. For example, like if you are fighting in this area, then you know about the mountains, you know where there can be mines, we know where they can be targeted, they know where can be like killing fields, they will know, but they just have to stay for a while. A year or two later, they are then deploy another area. So they don't have the local knowledge. They have to go to a new terrain. They don't have the knowledge of the terrain before, and that before they were now they have to walk in the mountain. Before they were posted in the mountains, and then they were now posted in the areas with a lot of jungles, and so that time, that EAO, that you have to start the different EAOs, also different use strategy as well, so that for them to be able to have and to know about their adversary, their enemy, and then to know the terrain is also challenging for the forces on the ground as well, and that they are always say that they have to go to around that out of the fighters, or those are on the soldiers, they also have to struggle as well, and that whenever they are sent to the front lines, that they will be spending months as well, and sometimes that also we don't even know as well that
တွေ့ရတယ်အဲ့လိုမျိုးတရားဆိုမိသားစုလူတော်နဲ့စိတ်တွေလည်းဖြစ်တာပေါ့အဲ့လိုမျိုးပဲကျန်တဲ့လူတွေကလည်းဒီစစ်စင်ရေးပဲ
can also be difficult, so that it can also be difficult, so that as well that sometimes that they will not usually that sometimes that they would try to find a way that they would, because of the struggles, they would be making less on the strategy, and they would just focus on find the easy way, instead of merging into the area. They will be using motorcycles and that as well, and that so because of they don't follow the rules and regulation of the strategy, also they take a lot of losses as well, and that so among the soldiers the moral is also greatly impacted as well, and that because of that your friend, you just saw him, he just finished, he just he had just died, or that then he will also be his life was lost as well. They know that if they go there, they know that they will be fighting, and they know that and they also know that they have seen also that who they will be losing as well, so that often sometimes that loss could happen to those, and that's why that even the commanders or they will refuse to obey the order as well, and that they know that they would what they will do if they don't follow the orders. The worst that can happen is that you will be imprisoned for not following, for disobedience. But if you go to the front line, then you could die, and then you're also your soldiers could also die as well. So some of the commanders also refuse to obey the command to get deployed as well. This is now happening in more often in the military as well. And whenever there were when we have to fight a base camp or the base camp, we know that when you are going to open a base camp, then often the commanders refuse to go and die there as well. That they think that, well, if I disobey the military orders, the worst that could happen is to be arrested and to spend time in brick, and I can do that then rather losing my life or lives of my soldiers as well. So this is happening, and it is happening more often as well. What is happening, if you guys, what was happening inside the troop as well? The soldiers and the full soldier do not have any kind of moral. They are not always motivated. They are not motivated to fight. They don't want to. When they have no other choice to go and fight, they will go that. And then also the problem is in military, family have to stay in the regiment area, so they stay in their regiment area, but they don't feel safe anymore. That if you stay inside the military, that they could also be targeted. They could be targeted. They could be bombed by the drones, and that if if they leave, if they go out, and that if they go out if they know that they are soldiers, or if they know that they are from the that sometimes you have to engage with other forces as well. For example, like you have to go to the bank to withdraw their salary, or to buy the food supplies for the regiment. Then those who maybe you need some of the animal feed for the animal that military has to keep, all that. If you have to go outside to engage with the others, you don't feel safe, you don't feel safe, you don't feel that secure to go out as well. And that some of them will have to be they will have to be always be worried about the fear as well, that either for that military or that members as well, it will always be difficult as well. And that another is that for the women, that the families, they are not allowed to stay free as well. They what they will do is that there will be security of regiment for the LIDs, especially that when the soldiers are left as well, and that they will have only of the reserve force they left behind, but that is it. For 4 plus 5, 4 plus 5, 1 is that with that 4 officers and that 50 full soldiers, but only those who they left behind are people who are very sick, or who just got discharged from the hospital, and that some are already injured, like physically handicapped, and they are still inside the military. Those people will be left behind. So these are not able to provide security. What they will do is they will issue weapons to their families, and they say this is for the security of the regiment, so that what they will do is that they will think of, if their regiment could be attacked, then they will give weapons. They will give weapons to the family to defend themselves. That and the wives of the soldiers are called as the female comrades. The comrades, they will be given weapons as well. And then they don't get paid for that as well. And that's why the soldiers often complain that the wives and their families are like the slaves because they don't get any salary, they don't get any pay, but they'll be asked to take a lot of risk and the danger as well. So thank you for sharing. And that we also we'll also be taking some time to do, if you have to ask your questions, or if you have any comments, or if you want to say anything, please use the comment on the page that you are watching our live stream. You can also write the comments and then ask us question as well. And then in the last part of our talk show as well, we also given a chance to that if you want to communicate directly and then participate directly in that, we will also that you can also join us on the Zoom and then give your comment as well, so that you can also use the comments function on the live stream pages to ask questions or share your opinion as well. We have a question for you, Kaung, to win, and that right now that that ground forces are taking a lot of hits, and that they are running in a way chaotic as well. What about the reserve forces? Reserve forces and artillery forces, they seem to be quite well structured, and that the chain of command is also quite successful in ongoing as well. So that but for most of the SAC forces, they are also facing but they are also facing a lot of discrimination inside the military, as well as that they also are facing also a lot of moral issues as well, and that the military seems to be gearing up for a bigger counter-offensive as well. So what do we need to do with that as well? As a CDM, I would like to ask, do you have anything you want to add to the discussion? Thank you. So that for the SAC troops, of course they have to be deployed a lot, and they are also taking a lot of losses as well, and they also losing also a lot of forces as well, and instead some of the and that as well and also for these for the forces on the ground, that said they some of the forces, they don't have to leave, so in a way that they are just they just have to stay inside. They have to focus on the work that they focus in the back as well, and then because of the a lot of the forces that are usually not deployed because of the need, and that then they start to deploy them in urban areas, for example, like and that some of them they would be asked who to do for the to like for to serve them as well, like for the general administration bank or the general administration department or the banks. These where they will be deployed as well. And also that sometimes they also make sure that that will be protected as well, and that they will use that police force, that they will have to engage with them as well, and that often these forces are not they are not that much there. They're in the urban areas, and that often they will be though they will be deployed to the most of the army that ground forces will be sent to the rural areas for the fighting for the fight as well. In that some of the some of the forces are still there as well, and that some of the forces were still on the ground, and that like Dakasa or those management or the administration, that some of them will have to be do that, but some of them are still doing okay as well, and that that they just have to stay behind and do that for the logistic or that's what as well, and that they will be also be just deploying them to send them to do that as well, and that so this is what we see most of the time as well, and that and these forces who stay in the office, who stay on the ground, they don't have to do anything. They would just for that and that's what they will do is that that they would just stay behind. They just walk, and they don't have to do anything as well, and that for them is that so long as they stay in in their regiment, they still feel that they are also safe. So that's how they feel that as well, that in addition to that and that for that there are also like other like military factories, for example, like they do produce factories. They just do the work as well, but they don't have to do anything. And that one thing for certain is that they will be they have to provide security in the towns that we are based in. It could be for that banks, it could be for the important officers. They also have to do that. So they are not quite happy as well that before they fight, and they have to do that. They don't want to fight, and then they just stay. That's why they stay there. But then again, that for that they may like they will be often being they have been asked to provide security, so they're not happy. Because they don't, that they have to take security, they have to provide security, and that they could be while they are serving the security detail, security provider security, they could be sure that they could be targeted as well, so that they could also die easily, although they are not they don't get sent to the front line. So they feel it's not fair for them, and that they feel that they are being better pushed as well. Another challenge for them is that what the military also use is that militia, the local militias it's hard to recruit soldiers. After the coup, it's harder to get soldiers. It's like there are still areas where they were able to do that as well. And that what happened is that they are now they're rallying their PSOTs, or the PSOTs are the pro militia, the militia groups, and that they would be using different opinions to be able to then if they will start to train them, and then they will give them the military equipment, they will give them a logistic, they will give them a salary, and then to get into as well. That if you ask the PSOT, it's not a problem at all. You just give them a weapon, and then if you just give the weapon, you just give them and that give them everything. It's not hard to get them as well, but then only through this they have to give them like a daily fare, and that based on that and that for example, like they need motorcycles for the communities, and that sometimes they will be given that hundreds of motorcycles or weapons as well. And it's easy to what they are doing is that there are to give them like transport. It's easy for the military to do so, because they were be looting these motorcycles from the people, distribute them to their militia as well, and they give them a salary. They give them the weapons, and they don't have to give them a regular salary like a soldier. They only give us salaries at a certain time, so that this way they are able to mobilize a lot of these militia groups across Myanmar. That's why there will be entire villages of who receive those monies, and that these villages become their pro-military forces as well. These villages will work together with them as well, and that even when they die, that when a PSOT die, that it's not like that of a soldier, and that you don't have to be had to do for administrative work, because there are no pensions or there are no insurance. And when a soldier fails, then you have to give a lot of and if you when a PSOT is killed, you get some money. That's it. You don't have to do anything else as well. So that's what they like about the PSOT. If they don't get if they cannot recruit, then what they can do is they can use the PSOT. So in a way that in some of the PSOT strong areas, they are able to do that effectively as well, and that and also be able to use it as well. That sometimes they even run operations with these militia groups as well. This is the new way they try to do that as well. In that with the NUG. So for the NUG, what NUG needs to prepare for the counter attack is that if they want to do that, if they want to counter offensive, it's not easy. They should not rush into it as well. That where do you want to go for it as well, and that it is important to think about it as well. That what do you want to do? That how do you want to do that? It is also important that so what you also need to think about, where can you get your reinforcement as well, and that are we going to if we're going to fight a base camp, okay, that in that case then we need to think about this also, not just this camp. It is important to for example, like fighting several that is several at the same time as well, like and also for that for the it is not to make set a base and then just try these base and then go for it, and then to go back to go to a safer place. And this is something, these are the things that they can do, and this is something I think that that NUG should do. Thank you for a very clear discussion. I think we've been taking some time as well, that So that we'd like to go to the next part of Siama Nwimba's question as well. May I ask you one more question, Siama? So in your discussion, you also say that defection is very important for the to win the revolution as well. On that topic, do you see that so it's been 18 months of the revolution as well. In such context, do you still think how important is defection is? How will the defection play and still play an important role? This time, in this revolution, is very different from that of 1988 because the number of defections is much higher. We are talking about the defections from this world. There is also the elite defection as well, but they are also defecting a lot as well. But we are talking about the military defection. Military defection is a lot, but they have to leave. The defection is they can also do the CDM movement without leaving there, without the regiment. If you're still inside, like the watermelons or those who support the democratic movement, they can be defection as well. Even if they don't officially become watermelons to support the democratic movement, they can also do that as well. They can do the sabotage. They can sabotage the order they are given to. They can delay them. They cannot do in the right way. There's also a form of defection for no support of the movement as well. And that some of the when I interview some of the commander, they talk about the deserter. Deserters are not defectors. They just run away. They just run away from the military. And deserters could be 10 to 20% as well. They get like 10 to 20% of the soldiers are deserting, that they're deserters, and that also need to be taken into account as well. If you look at from the another part of the evidence that if you ask that, that they have to, military has to recruit their veterans, even the veterans, and they are getting the prisoners, prisoners like those, they are releasing them, they are giving them a release and to use them in their forces. That's because of the high number of defection as well, because they are also partly because of the high number of losses that they are taking in the battle as well. And that nowadays it's like sending soldiers to the front line is like giving it death sentence as well, because this way that many soldiers are killed as well. That whenever we also hear that often they have a problem with the logistic as well. They don't get supplies for they're fighting on the ground, and this is something we heard not only from the soldier but also from those who are fighting with them as well. That military needs logistic, because military work is very important. They need food. They need food as well. In US military, we have the MREs, meals ready to eat out there, but you cannot it is you have about it, like you have to carry 2,000, and that that's a 2,000 calories. You get 3 per day because you have to eat 6,000 calories a day. That's needed because of the physical hard work that you are doing. And that when those are in the front line, they don't get supplies, they don't get food supplies, and that's not good. That then if they don't get the energy, they cannot fight. They don't have enough calories. They will not be able to fight physically. But instead of resolving the issue, what Myanmar did was that he's putting stress, he's blaming them for not winning the war. And if this is happening, that means that this is the fault of the leader, because the leaders are not good, and that's why the soldiers are running out of it, because military made wrong decisions. That's why the soldiers are suffering on the ground. They don't get logistic on the ground. So as a leader, that leader needs to be accountable, needs to have accountability and responsibility. If there is no such counter responsibility, then a general is not a leader. Thank you for your answer. And that is also that you also have shared us some more interesting point as well, that all the weaknesses, that the problems on the ground, or the issues with the logistic is part due to the lack of the skills of the leaders. And that also thank you also for sharing as well, that and for the CDMs, and that it is important that just CDM, that you don't have to join, that they don't have to defend it, they can still be inside the military, but they could be joining the CTM a different way, is sabotaging the orders or not following the orders completely or not carrying out the SWOT, so that there can also be different ways they can contribute to the defection as well. CDM is a civil disobedience that that disobedience can be played different ways, so for that the troops can play as well, and that is an important message that they don't have to physically leave the army to be able to join that movement. And there are also ways that those still who have no choice but to stay inside their regiments or the military can still contribute to the movement as well. Thank you for sharing, Esther. As for the closing part of today's talk show, that what was the message you want to give to the people of Myanmar, and what will be your recommendation, advice to the people of Myanmar? Would like to invite you to give any recommendations or comments. I think it is those who like the diaspora and the people of Myanmar inside and outside the country. What a lot of analysts, both inside the outside the country, analyze that the military doesn't have sustainability. Military cannot last long in such contexts. That's all the analysts have agreed to. That so it is important that people need to remain unified, and that if we join in the revolution, then that the future that we want, that the nation, the union that we want can happen. We need to remain united and contribute to the revolution. Thank you for the participation. We'd like to thank you on behalf of the People's Code team. So this is what we have. These are the interviews and the discussion of the Miemie Wimbet. So that Siama had already raised important points, and that and also what can be done or what we should do also. So thank you. We have already listened to a lot of valuable information as well. We'd like to continue with the talk show, and before we do that, if that those who are listening to us, if you have any questions or if you have any comments, and also please write that down in the comment chat box, or you can also raise your hand so that we'll give you a turn to ask question as well. Now, Bukantu, I would like to go for the last round of the questions as well. That to be able to stop the SAC that as soon as possible, so that a lot of recommendations. So the NUG needs to build the consolidated the fighting forces, as well as to have a better structure, better coordination and structure, and the better chain of command as well. But at the same time, the PDF under the NUG, and as well as that some of the local PDF have conflicts, and that as well as on the many problems as well. So what does NUG need? You need to have a strong chain of command as well, and also so a lot of problems and issues that is happening in the ground forces. How can NUG control them as well? And that as a military officer, could you discuss based on your experience in this as well? Thank you. So the main thing is that we, all of us, so our common enemy is the military. That military, that we all need to join forces to fight together to stop the Myanmar and to remove the two of this. So either the local PDF or the LDF or the EOs. I think it is important that we all need to work together in we need to collaborate and cooperate as well. That and that there could be personal for personal there can be problems and tensions, a problem based on the personal perspective. I think it should not be confused with the revolution as well, because there could be personal issues, and then there should not be taking advantage of they're fighting each other or shooting each other for the personal issues. So personal should not be mixed with this revolution as well. For the NUG, the chain of command, that I think I think it is important to build a strong chain of command. That how strong is the NUG command? Because it is important to have a strong chain of command. The strong chain of command on that do have the only then the PDF. But let's say that okay, we are fighting this base camp, and then there is an order from the NUG. There need to be clear order, specific orders, so that the local PDS will be able to follow the orders. This is our government. Our government had given this order that we want to implement this order. Then they will also need to follow the order clearly to be able to carry out the attack, so that we'll be able to reach the goals that we need in this revolution. In addition, that if there are also certain problems as well, like there were like around people are getting killed, and that we have also seen it happening. It can also what can happen is that those who are the family members, those who were killed, or that they would not be they wouldn't they would be they feel that they would get they would get angry, and that they might join in the PSOT because of this PSOT advisory as well. If it happened that family members will join the other side as well, like we're getting rid of the military informants, it could be in a way. It is important to to validate and make sure that to check, and then only when you are certain, absolutely certain that these targets should be together. If you respond by anger, if you cannot that then it's to kill the first person you saw, that it might not be the right person, or he might not be the person who is responsible for the allegation as well. So these this should be this kind of the emotional kind of response should be avoided as well. If such events has already happened, and that it is also important to and that the person who has committed it, and that the energy will need to take a strong action against such perpetrators, and there's something energy need to do as well. So it could be individually, it could be a unit. There should be a systematic that as well, and that to make a model of these such cases. If you commit such crime, then there will be action taken. This is something a clear messaging across the country, so that the people will be able to believe in this revolution, to be able to provide more support to that as well. Thank you for your answer. That I think in your discussion that not only in your discussion but also in the Miemie discussion is that you have the similar recommendation as well. It is important for the NUG to that energy to also to respond effectively as well, to ensure that there is a code of conduct, that everyone must follow the code of conduct, and that it is also important to ensure that weapons and that being military actions need to have a responsibility and accountability as well, and that these are the basic rules and regulations that they have to follow, and these are important. That it is important for the all groups will need to need to follow the code of conduct specifically as well, and that can also lead to of course, that there will also be some of the people might feel that they want to respond that emotionally, the anger, that the injustice cannot be responded with another form of injustice, and that it is important to respond injustice with the justice. We need to follow the rules and regulations. The code of conduct will be should be relied on. So if you check into the media, I think it is also important also to share the message as well. We already have the point was it is also important that for the people, and that of course there could be that many that there can also be the military informant as well, that that it is important to protect that all the civilians as well, and that if those they are not and that it is important that all the civilians need protection, and that have to be protected as well, and that it is important to show that our revolutionary forces are also democratic, and that they follow the code of conduct, and that that will also strengthen our movement and revolution as well. Thank you, Kaung, for their sharing. So these are all a very good discussion as well, and that also we'll like to ask a few questions as well, that if you have questions, and then please you can also raise your hand, and then also be asked a question as well. So if you are in the Zoom also, that you can also raise your hand to ask questions and give comment as well. So we have a question here, Kaung, is that what about the people living in urban areas, and that and also that what do they need to prepare for it? How can they contribute how can they contribute as well? So maybe you can give us some answers to this question. Thank you. So for the urban population, what can they do is, I think urban population can do is to the intelligence sharing. They can also share about that with the movement of the military troops, as well as on the where the convoys are going, and that also by the convoy, as in convoy carrying soldiers or the ammunition or logistic, where are they going, or the if you are near the Air Force, or the if you have the main air base, Air Force base, or that the smaller bases. One other information you can get, I think information should be share the entirely. We have also have there are also information channels, so you can through these channels you can also share the information to the revolutionary forces so they know what is happening as well. The kind of information sharing is very important. It will also be very effective as well. And that in addition, that SAC, that some of the some of the problems of the SAC. Sometimes SAC have to engage with the community at large. For example, like that what they will do is like so they will need to buy rice, they will need they will need to buy pulses and beans. In doing so, that they will come and get these merchandise out as well. If you see that as well, if you can give us information very clearly, that that I think that will also be good to them as well. That this way also we know about what are they to make sure that they are not, the products will not be used by cannot be used them as well. Also the share the information as well. That sometimes there are also announced on the social media, please don't go to this, and inform them that these roads are blocked by the security, or that as well if possible. And that if the urban guerrilla forces will require, please don't use this road. Then if you try to say that, and then when the revolutionary forces they start the attack, then it could also be a danger as well. That and also that other that could also be you could also be putting yourself at risk because of the fighting took place as well. You could also get injured or be stuck in this as well. So it is important to also to follow the what is being posted on the social media as well, and not only for you. It is also important to inform that others as well. In addition, I think also whenever it is necessary, that it is also to join the military force, to join the service as well. It's like that if that resistance also needs a new recruitment as well. That the PDF that when the PDF are planning to fight, they need more manpower, they need more fighters. That if you cannot fight it, you can also provide other logistics. You can also help carry them. Also, that if you're not going to fight on the front line, you can also help by contributing them as something you can do, like carrying their weapons, or to help them, or to helping them with the medical care. There are things that you can do, not right by if you want to support the movement as well. Thank you, Gongdong, for your answer as well. And that as Gongdong here had discussed, I think for the urban area, for the urban people, urban population, the information sharing is important as well. They could become a logistic fighters, or that information fighters. You can also, this is also how that many of those people who live in urban area has been supporting the movement as such. You can also be other forms of it as well. Another question is, we have received that in that today's revolution, that conventional the conventional weapons suffice, or what special needs to be needed as well in the current offensive situation. Is a conventional weapons like a small arms, or that there will be small arms like communication. There could also be like it others as well. If you look at it into the more from it, this is the that is SAC. Is this something SAC could also use, and that also our side could also use this kind of weapon as well? That what we can do is also drone is also in a way, drone can be used in a way as well. Drone is quite effective against the SAC troops as well, and that also make them very difficult. They consider drone become an effective problem as well, and that it is using drones to bomb them is a major challenge for them. So yes, conventional weapons, we use the conventional weapons to fight the war, but if you look at any other country, if there is a war, then there is you have area bombardments, and and then you will use the artillery, and then the regiments will, the ground forces will come and attack to win, to capture this is a ground fight. We also have BDF. We don't have an air force, but we can also use the drones as well, and so there could also be the way there as well that and also that this is something they can use as well, that if you could do that and so it is a conventional weapons that it is also this is what they use as in the conventional weapons and as well, and that they have that they also have that and that they could be there could be areas where they would be storing weapons, and and also be other ways as well, and they could be sometimes it is so important to use the drones to put the fear in them. That you also need the power to be real power to show them we have a stronger power, and that to be there as well, so that when we our ground forces have a number as well. If you the PDF ground forces, the PDF forces that they have a lot that they have the nearly the same level of manpower. If the PDF forces all the forces, all the fighters have weapons, they will be able to hold their own, because they have they say numbers as well, then so that Isiama Domimi also said earlier in her 10 as well, and that it is also important that it is important that important the firepower is important, but that the soft power or the technical, the smart power is also important, and also the strategic communication and that outreach, as well as on the reaching out to the community, mobilizing people, informing is important, as well as the willpower, that will to fight is also important in this as well. The commitment to the revolution, the support is also important. They are more of a decisive factor than the firepower. That it is important to have that to have the firepower is important. The most important is that smart power as well, that and that smart power is something that all that we already have, that Miemie also has shared about this. It's important to have that as well. I think we have taken some time to today's discussion, so that we due to the shortage of time, we will not be calling for more questions, but we also would like to request you to understand that because we are running out of time, so we will be that we like to end today's talk show here, and that as to end our today talk show, so I would like to request Kaung to give closing, that what will be we have about a minute for you to give words, encouraging words to the people. What will be your recommendation to the people? Yes, as a the closing part, I would like to say that this revolution is been over, 1.5 years that revolution has been going on, and that revolution is quite strong. It is going on in this in that level, and that we are also getting some support as well, and that for us it is also important to move on to ensure that we win this revolution. Because of the what is happening on the ground, people are facing a lot of challenges. People are struggling. We know that people are struggling very hard on the ground. It's important to continue working, because we need we are winning this war. It is also important to keep on putting pressure militarily as well. That it is important that we contribute as much as we can. We are supporting the people. We are engaging with them as well. It is also important that those who are on the ground will need to despite the challenges that they are facing, that the ITPs, we also have a lot of people who are getting displaced as well. For them, I think it is we are also very sad to hear about these one as well, and that to hear that the people of Myanmar are being displaced, and also in a lot of difficulty as well after this revolution. That when we are able to build the federal democracy, where we are able to have a prosperity and development for the people of Myanmar, it is important for all of us to work together to do what we can to contribute in the so please well, so my recommendation will be to do what your part, do what you can to play your to support the revolution as well. And my message to those who are still in the regiment and the bases is that my message to you that I would like to reiterate is that we are that it is important for us that they should be asking question. You need to think clearly. Do you want to stay where there is oppression and the discrimination, and we know that they are giving you unjust orders? Are you going to follow these order blindly? There are many organizations like the People's Code, there are organization NUG. You can engage you can also engage with them to better safety by staying inside the by remaining in the military, by staying on base. Then you're putting not only yourself at risk but also your family at risk also. That we also want you to reach out to us. We can help you be more in a secure place as well. That thank you Godwin for the answer. That as a People Go team, we will always be like as other speaker have discussed, that it is important to have